Hello and welcome to another Mr. Carter Science Special. In this video we'll be looking at antibiotics and painkillers. By the end of the video you'll be able to explain how medicines work, how they treat diseases, and we'll be able to compare and contrast medicines like antibiotics and painkillers and how they treat diseases. Often when we are ill, the medicines we take does not actually affect the pathogen that causes the disease. Instead, the medicines we take often treat just the symptoms of the disease. For example, when we have a cold, painkillers such as aspirin, Panadol, paracetamol will relieve the headache, which is a symptom of a cold, but they'll have absolutely no effect on the virus which is actually causing the cold. So what medicines could we take that will have an effect on the pathogens themselves? Well, one of the most widely used medicines are antibiotics. And antibiotics are chemicals that destroy bacteria. Many antibiotics like penicillin will actually damage the bacterial cell wall and prevent the bacteria from growing and reproducing. Animal cells do not have a cell wall, so antibiotics do not harm the animal cells themselves, our human cells. So antibiotics are completely safe for us to take. Antibiotics can be given as a syrup or a pill, or in bad cases, antibiotics can actually be given intravenously, as you can see in the picture here. Now, if we contrast antibiotics with another similarly named chemical, antibacterials, such as antiseptics and disinfectants, they cannot be taken by the human body. Antiseptics and disinfectants are very effective at killing bacteria and other pathogens such as viruses. However, they cannot be used in the human body as they would be far too poisonous and they would actually damage our own body cells and tissues as well as the pathogen that we're trying to take. So although antibacterials are fantastic to use on the surfaces that we use in the kitchen, in the home and in schools, and we can use these antiseptics and disinfectants to clean those surfaces, they would not be appropriate to take inside of the human body. So how did we discover antibiotics? Well, this person here that you can see is a very famous microbiologist known as Alexander Fleming. And in 1928, he was working in his laboratory trying to grow a pure culture of bacteria. And he had a contamination of a fungus that you can see here. Here's this fungus that he had contaminated. And he was very curious as to see why all the bacterial species down here did not live and grow anywhere near his fungus. He said, well, I seem to have this zone here where no bacteria are growing. He investigated what was going on in that zone and he hypothesized that the fungus was producing some kind of chemical that inhibited bacterial growth. In fact, this chemical was the very first antibiotic ever to be discovered, and he called it after the particular species of fungus. He named the bacteria, the antibiotic penicillin, after the fungus Penicillium, which was producing the chemical. He also came up with this very arrogant but very accurate quote. When I woke up just after dawn on September 28th, 1928, I certainly didn't plan to revolutionise all medicine by discovering the world's first antibiotic or bacterial killer, but I suppose that's exactly what I did. And the impact of these antibiotics on our daily lives cannot be underestimated. We no longer fear bacterial diseases. However, antibiotics cannot kill viruses. Why? Because viruses do not have a cell wall. Most antibiotics work on the bacterial cell wall. Viruses don't have one. Secondly, viruses reproduce inside living cells where antibiotics cannot reach them. It's very difficult to treat viral diseases without damaging the host cells. There are some antiviral drugs available, for example Tamiflu here, which can treat things like bird flu and swine flu, but they're not widely available for the majority of viral diseases. But there is one particular issue when using antibiotics to treat bacterial disease, and that's antibiotic resistance. For example, you can see this person here, they have an infection of this bacteria, Staphylococcus aureus, or we can call it SA. Now this bacteria lives on your skin, it lives around the entrance to your nose, for example, and it's practically harmless when it lives on your skin. If it gets inside your body though, it will produce a toxin that will cause your skin to flake off from a muscle and the muscle to flake off from a bone. But again, this isn't much of a problem if you have a strong immune system. However, in the young or the old, or people with weakened immune systems due to HIV infections or cancer treatments, for example, this particular bacteria can be a very, very dangerous bacteria that may even kill you. So, of course, doctors can prescribe you antibiotics to destroy the Staphylococcus aureus bacteria that's giving you these infections. However, overuse of a particular antibiotic called methicillin has caused most of the strains of Staphylococcus aureus to become resistant to this antibiotic methicillin, and so producing a new strain known as MRSA. So antibiotics have been overused for many years, and as I've already said, one consequence is that many bacterial species have evolved to become resistant to antibiotics, and the main example of that is MRSA, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. This means that some bacterial diseases no longer respond to antibiotic treatments. Some strains of bacteria are now resistant to all known antibiotics, and if new antibiotics are not found soon, in the future many people may die from bacterial diseases that we can currently cure today. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this short video on antibiotics, painkillers and treatments of diseases. Let me know in the comments below what you've learnt, and don't forget to like and subscribe.